Hello everyone, this is Kevin, your entrepreneur, and yes, I am back after almost a week of no activity. That is because I was visiting family, and family comes first. Now, I was still working a little on the side, but, it's like when you work on the side, then you come home and you're alone, you have time to make videos. When you work and you come home, and there are parents, and sometimes the brother and his girlfriend around, well, you don't have as much time to make videos. But I am alone again. Such is life, I suppose. Oh well. Anyway, let's talk about something because let's talk about DoorDash actually specifically because here's the thing: I have gotten many emails, and yes, I do say many, even though I only have like 100 and something subscribers at the time of this recording. Two of my most popular videos are about Uber Eats and DoorDash. So obviously, those companies I get the most emails from, even from people who aren't subscribed, I believe, and my "what do you do if DoorDash deactivates you" video is definitely very popular and for good reason, but some people ask me like what will get you deactivated, and for the most part it's things like getting in arguments with customers, Dasher support, constantly missing items, constantly not showing up for your shifts, things like that, and those are like pretty obvious things not to do. But when it comes to the metrics and the ratings and the completion rates and the acceptance rates, well, that was a little bit more murky about what could and could not get you deactivated. And DoorDash has updated their deactivation policy, and so now we can actually talk about it. And as you can see with this screenshot, here's the things. Now we're going to skip the first one, and we're going to get to the ratings in a moment, because we need to talk about that specifically. But let's first address the minimum completion rating. You need to maintain 90% of the completions. Now, this is by far the easiest one to make, because basically that means if you pick up an order, you finish it. Now, they give you 10% grace period on the off chance that you pick up the food and say you get a flat tire and you have to contact Dasher support and have that canceled or whatever, and then that goes against your completion rate. However, since those situations are very rare, and I mean very, very rare, you're unlikely to ever go under this. And if you do, I'm certain you can follow the steps in my other video to get reactivated, because most of the time the only reason you wouldn't complete something is through an emergency, not because you picked up the food and just decided, screw it, I'm not going to deliver it, because there's no point to do that, folks. None whatsoever. Now, the minimum acceptance rate. This is how many orders you can accept. Now, we already know that if you want to apply for like Elite Dasher status and among other things, you want to try to keep the acceptance rate over 85%, which gives you the freedom to turn down those $4 Taco Bell orders that you sometimes get late at night. However, if you continue to not accept them and you go below 25%, this could trigger a deactivation. Now, again, you have to be rejecting a lot of orders, and I'm honestly kind of surprised it's this low. I'm not going to complain too much, because honestly, I think as an independent contractor, drivers should be allowed to reject many, many orders before they get in trouble, because you are an independent contractor. And I actually think under those circumstances, 25% is actually being very, very generous, because at that point, I would have to question why you are even doing this if you let it get to that point. So don't let the minimum acceptance rate go below 25%. Now then, here's why we're going to talk the minimum rating last, because I should make a note. The screenshot that you are looking at is for the Chicago area. And the reason I point that out is because, and I don't know why this is, maybe someone at DoorDash can clear this up, I don't know, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but depending on your area, the deactivation policy will change. So in Chicago, if you go below 4.3, that's when you might get a deactivation warning. Where I live, it's 4.3. And I saw one place that was 4.5, which means I would probably be in trouble if I lived there because my rating is 4.49. And I saw one place that was actually 4.2. Now, there's two things about the minimum rating I want to touch on this. First of all, I'm not entirely sure what the thinking of to have different standards for different places. I understand why the DoorDash Dash service has different tiers of payments depending on where you live because, sizes and cities will affect that. But when it comes to the rate, I don't know, maybe it's a similar thing that, if you get more orders, you're more likely to get more complaints, so they give you a little more leeway. I don't know. Basically, there's not a whole lot of reason your rating will go too low if you're doing your job properly. But the other thing is, I remember having the orientation at DoorDash with Spencer, and he was telling people not to worry about the star rating, because sometimes the restaurant does things that are out of your control. Now then, first of all, it would be curious to know if they are still telling Dashers this, because if they are still telling Dashers this, they need to stop. Because obviously there is a number for the ratings that will get you into trouble. But here's the other thing. If they're doing this and it's going to finally really start paying attention to it, like the system that is, then I think more than ever, DoorDash and even Postmates, and I'm going to test Caviar soon so I can tell you, but they need to have two different ratings. One for the driver and one for the restaurant. Because, unfortunately, there are still people who, when they get the food and they don't like it, or it's undercooked, or something like that, or, heck, I've done this several times, or if you, say, order from Ruby's and you ask for cheddar cheese on the burger, and it gets delivered with white cheese, and they don't taste the same, Aunt Mary, you do not, then if it's DoorDash, people are going to rate poorly because the order wasn't correct. But that rating is not reflecting the restaurant. It is reflecting the Dasher. So, so on one hand, it is nice to finally have some solid numbers that we need to obtain. It is very useful to have that, and I will include a link below on the Dasher deactivation so that you can look up your own area and find out what your minimum rating needs to be. And at the same time, DoorDash, if this is going to be the case, I think you need to change the rating system, and I'm also will touch upon in a future video why it is nonsense that the Dashers can no longer rate the customers. I will make that video, I promise you I will. But for now, you wanted some numbers, here are the numbers. Study them, remember them, and do a good job. And again, as long as you're just doing your basic job, showing up on time, not being late, not dilly-dallying, double-checking the items, verbally at least, before you leave, then guess what? You should be fine. But if you like to play a little loosey-goosey, well, as long as your numbers don't fall between these, I think you'll be okay, barring any major problems with Dasher support or being rude with a customer or restaurant. So anyway, there you go. What do you guys think of this? Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.